am back with another video. And this time I want to talk about relationships because I noticed there's a lot of talk about high value men. I just find it to be so funny. High value men. So I'm like, why not make a video on high value women? I mean, just this whole idea of value, right? I think sometimes is an overstatement. Or shall we say understatement, depending on how you look at it. This might be good. Now, the idea of a high value person, I think, is kind of predicated on this idea that if you're going to date someone, if you're going to even invest your time and interest in someone, it should be someone who is of value, someone who matches your value. Not only matches your value, but appreciates you, who also sees the value in you, right? That says a lot, though. I think it says a lot about the person themselves, a person who seeks another high value individual, a person who sees himself as a high value person. Now, we should operationalize the meaning, the word high, that's a phrase high value. What does that mean? I want you guys to comment below. What does that mean to you, high value? Because on the surface level, a person may assume that high value means that they require a lot to maintain, right? They're high maintenance. They're high maintenance in a financial sense. They're high maintenance in a time sense. Like, time is money, right? Time, I think, is the most expensive commodity that we have, that we really can't trade for anything else. Like, our time, you can't get it back, right? Like, even though people work and they get paid for their time, but are they really getting paid for what the time is worth, given that you're only on this planet Earth in this dimension for a specified time period? So can someone really trade something for your time? I think the only thing that a person can trade for a person's time is their time, themselves. So when we think of value, again, some people think of it in a very superficial sense, like financial value, because they have amassed a certain degree of riches. I'm not even going to say wealth, because a lot of people, a lot of men especially, who are talking this high value talk, they're not hitting for nothing in terms of wealth. They probably have a perceived sense of wealth because they're making over 6 figures, they have a steady flow of income, but they're not quite in the realm of speaking of wealth. Like, they're not quite in the realm that they could say that they're wealthy, right? Because when you have wealth, like, you begin to like tamper along the lines of having privilege, right? And having power in our society, being able to make systemic moves that's going to impact a significant number of people. These people who are saying that they're high value, and especially when they're basing that value upon the dollar, in a financial sense, they're not really quite wealthy yet, right? So maybe one can look at value in the terms of intrinsic value, things that are inherent within their personality, their character, their demeanor. They may have certain expectations of a woman. Speaking of they, like men, these high value men may have certain expectations of a woman that the average woman don't really measure up to, whatever that may be, right? That's why I think this is an open discussion, because I find it interesting that this whole idea of a high value man has surfaced. And when you look at these men, okay, yeah, they have money, but do they really have self-worth? Right? Do they really see the value within themselves apart from the dollar? And I get often asked the question, because I'm going to make this personal, right? I often get asked the question, oh, you're so beautiful. For a woman who's so beautiful and so successful, why are you single? I find that question to be a bit triggering in a sense that I think it should be self-explanatory. I mean, if a person is single, obviously they have not quite found the right partner. Is that not that they aren't eligible, right? Like they don't qualify to have a partner because anybody could be dating, right? You look around and you see like who's in love, you see who's partnered. You have people who are overweight. You have people who don't necessarily meet the traditional ideals of beauty. You have people, men and women, with multiple baby mamas, baby daddies, right? Like they don't really fit that prototype of attractiveness and like a mate, you know? But yet they may have a partner, they may be partnered up. So I think that sometimes we get this idea of being in a relationship a bit misconstrued that, oh, if a person is single, like what's wrong, right? And people often make the misjudgment to assume that, oh, you're single, something has to be wrong with you. Oh, you're single, you gotta be crazy. Crazy in what sense? Like of having standards and having an appreciation for myself and understanding who I am and knowing that it's important for me to find someone who matches my frequency, right? And also, like, it's so many different layers to this thing, right? Because yes, we cannot just ignore and dismiss the importance of finding someone who matches your financial worth. I think that is so important. People try to say, oh no, money doesn't matter. It's not important. How is it not important though? Try dating a person who makes a significant amount less than you, right? See how that goes. Imagine a guy who makes, let's say, $25K a year. Meets a woman who makes 5 times that. Over 6 figures a year, right? And people say, oh, it's just money, it doesn't matter. But it makes a big difference. And just think about the different aspects of life, right? And how that scenario could play out with him and bringing his $25K in salary per year to the table. We're not even talking about other factors. We're just talking about income as it factors into this idea or construct of value. He brings his $25K to the table. She brings her $120K to the table, right? And when it comes to dating, who pays for the date? The choice of restaurant. Like, just looking at that scenario alone, the choice of restaurant. Like, can you guys imagine how that can play out, right? Like, if he's on a budget and he's coming with his 25K a year income to that relationship, and she's making a significant amount more than what he is bringing to the table. Like, just can you imagine how that can play out when it comes to just choosing where to eat? Let alone where to live. Let alone how that differentiation, that discrepancy, right? That gap in wage, when you compare what he brings to the table, what she brings to the table, like how that affects the psyche. How does that affect him on an interpersonal level, on the individual level, right? It does. Like, men try to say it doesn't, but I've been in too many situations, like I have experience with this, you guys, where it does play a significant role. Men feel intimidated just by that alone. Like, we haven't even begun to touch the surface on other things that factor into value, right? Apart from money, apart from income. Just looking at money. How much does a person make? Men feel a certain kind of way when they live in a certain neighborhood. And then they see a woman lives in a different kind of neighborhood. It don't measure, they realize they don't measure up. It begins to affect how they view themselves, their self-esteem. These things are important. yeah, I've been asked this, like, why am I single? And I think that there is a growing social issue. This is not a new issue where you have a significant number of black women, beautiful, eligible black women who are very successful yet still single, and people look at them like, oh, something has to be wrong. It's interesting though how we assign blame, right, to a person, not looking at the social context, and we dismiss the context of that person to assume that, oh, something has to be wrong with all these eligible single black women, that they are not partnered. It's just like, why can't it be a choice of her? Why can't a woman choose? Like, women, we do have the right to choose. I know traditionally, like, a man chooses his wife, a man who finds a wife. So if a woman hasn't been found, so to speak, then, oh, something has to be wrong with her. As if we don't have a choice in the matter. Like, I would like to believe, like, I have the ability to choose my partner. I have the ability to choose if a man meets my standards and my expectations. And if he doesn't, to keep going about my way. Like, I've been on dates. Many a date, I've had some deep-seated conversations. But if a man just doesn't measure up, and I realize, like, I will give... This is the thing about me, because I'm very open-minded. And I think beyond... the financial sense. Like, I feel like, yes, money is money. Yes, it does matter. But I like to see who that person is, right? So if I feel like he brings a lot more to the table that could compensate for their lack thereof of his financial sense, of his bank account, then I might be interested. If he has the intellect, if he has a degree of consciousness, a self-awareness, knowing who he is as a black man in the context of our society in which we live in, I've considered men like that. And I've said to myself, like, give him a try, Like, I respond, I resonate to energy, to a person's energy. And that's something that money really can't communicate, All the money in the world, the energy, I have to read that person's energy. Aside from reading their bank account. How they present themselves to the world, and coming across men who, yes, they may be conscious, but if they feel a certain kind of way, like, there's always this mismatch, I think, because they don't feel validated, they don't feel secure, they don't feel like they measure up, they feel inadequate. I can't make a man feel inadequate, though, right? Like, I feel like the obvious will make him feel inadequate, the obvious discrepancies that exist, the unspoken, like, it's just unspoken, it's just there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's clearly communicated, right? When we begin to share information about who we are, where we are in our lives, of course, most of you guys know, I'm very close to completing my doctoral degree in clinical psychology, preparing for licensure. Apart from that, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a go-getter. I don't have any kids. Like, I have a lot going for myself, right? I'm very ambitious, very self-motivated, and I think I'm a woman that comes with a certain kind of confidence. When you know who you are, when you reach that point in your life, you just know who you are. It requires another person, only a person that will be able to complement that level of energy is a dominant man. I've said this many a times over. Like, you gotta come with your A game. You gotta bring it. So in my definition, that's what it means to be a high value woman. To know thyself. To know who you are apart from your social status, right? Because your social status is one thing. You're reflecting upon your tax bracket, right? Reflecting upon the neighborhood in which you live. How much money is in your bank account. That's your social status, right? How well respected you are in society. Apart from that, knowing that soul, who you are, being confident in that. And that comes with maturity, that comes with development, self-discovery. Not to say I've completely self-actualized. I think that there's always room for growth. But coming across a man who is still struggling with his sense of identity, I think, and it's kind of unfair too, because we do live in a society, yes, men are targeted, especially black men are targeted, right? They get the short end of the stick. So all of that kind of does play into their ego, their sense of self and identity and who they are as a man. Like, how can a man feel like a man if his ability to be a man has been threatened and stripped from him, right? His ability to provide for a woman, provide for his family, right? Like, has been attacked. Not to say he can't, because we're not making excuses for men. That's not what this video is about. But we know that there are certain barriers to access for resources, meaning that the black man may have to work a little bit harder, 2 times harder, right? 10 times harder, right? To get to a sense where he's able to provide for himself, let alone a family. He's under a lot of pressure, right? It begins to impact a person's psyche, their ego. And I think that's why a lot of black men, to feel like they have power, right? They begin to rationalize this whole idea of what it means to be a dominant man. And they say, oh, to be dominant, you got to have all these women. So they go out and they try to, like, fuck this woman and that woman, and that gives them a sense of value. Is that what makes you a high value man? Sounds like that's what makes a person a needy man, right? To need 5 women. Think about that. To need 5 women, to feel important, to validate your sense of manhood, is that you have to have 5, 10, or limitless women. Is that what it means to be a high value man or a needy man? I just think this whole idea is very interesting. And I think there's something beneath the surface, right? Like, I think there's many different ways, obviously, to look at a situation. And I have to be the one to say this because I'm honest, right? Speaking from a degree of honesty, that it's interesting to see. Have you noticed, like, the high value men, the ones who are talking about high value men, those are the ones who usually have, like, significant problems in relationships and maintaining relationships. And they're often single. The irony. And likewise, I'm not excluding myself from that situation, you know. Like, I consider myself a high value woman in the sense that I value myself to a high degree. And I have a low tolerance. I just have a low tolerance for a lot of things that I think other women will tolerate. I just don't have the tolerance for it because I'm just like, to a certain extent, and I've mentioned this in other videos, that we have got to a point in our society where, unfortunately, the black man is becoming obsolete. That's the reason why you see, like, so many broken families. The black woman has gotten to a point where she really doesn't need the black man. She's lived without the black man for so long. What purpose does a black man serve in her life? And some black women are just over it, right? And that's why the black man becomes a commodity to non-black women. You know, he becomes like this sense of high value to non-black women because, number one, non-black women haven't had that experience or exposure. And I think there's a degree of implicit racial bias. There's a degree of bias that black men have towards non-black women. Right? This sense of superiority, unfortunately, like, it's like the whole Willie Lynch syndrome at work, fully fed, happening there. You know, there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of variables at play, right? A lot of things intersecting. And so going back to myself and me being single, like, yes, I've gotten to a degree where I'm comfortable in my singlehood, right? But I also understand the importance of family and building. But you just can't do that with anyone. Because I'm very careful not to, like, create and recreate mistakes, you know, unnecessary mistakes that people make, I think, in relationships. It's just like, jumping into a relationship just because you feel a certain kind of way, like going off of feeling, right? Or being with a certain person just because you think like, oh, like I'm a black woman, he's a black woman. All right. Just like, no, that's not what makes us a good match in my eyes, you know. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, but that's not what makes it a good match. And I did just wash my face before I did this video, so my skin might be appearing a bit dry, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this, because it's an important topic. I did get this banana from one of the street vendors. They be having the best fruit and vegetables on the street here in New York. It's lovely. I don't think I ever had like banana and red wine. I think it makes a good combination. Then there's this whole thing about like people setting like these super high expectations of a person that nobody will be able to meet. And that's the reason why they remain single. It's like, who the hell going to be able to match that shit? It's just way above anything that anyone could measure up to. I might be guilty of that, but I wouldn't say like, nah, I wouldn't say that. I would say that there's a special person out there that does fit. He don't have to pretend. So one thing that gets me is when guys be like, oh, what do you look for in a partner? And I'm just like, I don't like that question. Because I feel like either you have it or you don't. Me telling you what I look for in a partner, like, you shouldn't try to or feel compelled that you need to exhibit those qualities or pretend like you have those qualities. Like, I will be able to tell if it's natural, right? I don't want to share what I look for in a man with a guy who is potentially interested in me. I think that that's so redundant. Just just be who you are. Because I'm going to be able to see through the bullshit anyway. Like, my spirit knows. I'm at the age where I clearly know what kind of man is for me. It doesn't take rocket science. It's not like, it's not that hard to discern, you know, what man is for me. I think in fact, it's very easy to discern. That's the reason why I'm single, because I'm like, nope, and nope. Maybe. And then those are, the maybe guys is just like, Because it's the maybe, it's just like, damn. They damn sure put on a good front. Like, they have this facade. Like, damn. It usually is a mask, and you like, damn, and you looking like, okay, it has to be something. Because you got to put them through the ringer to make sure, you know. So you just like, and then you find out, like, hell nah. Damn, they don't measure up. They faking that shit. You know. But those maybe dudes is like, they get a shot. Give them a shot. And they be happy too, boy. What gets me is that's how you know a person don't measure up. It's not equal. We're not equally yoked. We're not for each other, because those maybe guys, they be so happy. And you ever dated somebody who know damn well they don't deserve you? For lack of a better expression, right? But I need to put on some moisturizer. Hold on. Y'all ever come across those people like that? Well, it's just like they know damn well. Because they so nervous. Like, I'm having that now, more recently. Now, I've had it in the past, but like, more recently, I can think of a clear case of someone that fits that. And I even said this to him. So if he somehow come across with my video, because I don't really share my social media with guys that I'm dating, they got to find that shit, you know what I'm saying? Or they got to make it to the point where I feel comfortable sharing it. But they don't damn well, they don't measure up, because like, yo, why you nervous? Now granted, like, it's okay to be nervous, you know what I'm saying, on the first date, but not to that extent where like, yo, you just shaking. Like, what you so nervous about? It makes me feel like you know, like something in your spirit, no. You're nervous because you know you don't measure up. You know. Because I'm not that intimidating. I cannot be that freaking intimidating, yo. I should have did this before the video, I know. But what happened was I like washed my face with faucet water, and then I put some rose water. So sometimes like my skin gets dry. That's why we use Vaseline. But it's like they know damn well they don't measure up. And it's just like this sense of nervousness. And I'll call a dude out. I'm just like, yo, you're nervous. Like, this is what I do for a profession, yo. I study human behavior. Like, not even to toot my own horn, but come on. I call it out. I call it out. It's just a behavior observation, you know. And he tried so good to hide it. You can't hide that shit from me, yo. I see through your skin. But what I like, though, is that he admitted. He was like, yeah, I'm nervous. So I think that's the reason why he's still in the running, because he's honest. Like, don't be trying to front, don't deny it. You fuck up when you start that lying. You can't lie. Don't lie to me. You know what I'm saying? Just be real. Come real with it. If you're nervous, say you're nervous. You know, we talked about it. We had a whole conversation about it. But for me, I think, like, I'm high value in the sense that not only, yes, I would like to date a man of my caliber. I said that to him, like, you know. It makes a difference, you know. You got to match what I'm bringing to the table in the financial sense, you know. That I think that's important. We already talked about that, you know. Intellectually match that too. We can have deep-seated conversations. We can go there. I have guys messaging me on dating apps and don't even know how to, like, have a conversation. Don't even know what to talk about. You know, I make it a point on my profile that the message has to be a number of characters before they can even send it. And guys, I feel like, who are shallow, don't even know what to write. So they just be like, dot, 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 trying to fill the shit. And it's just like, you know I'm not going to respond to that. I'm clearly a person who likes conversation. Let's go there. But they, you know, I feel like I can't connect with you. We have to be able to connect here before we can connect here. You know what I'm saying? They don't get that. But yes, like, that has to be there. We have to be able to connect on many different levels. And I feel like, okay, once you made it past that, I mean, I can get why guys feel like a bit nervous. They just looking at, because they have much respect for me. They just like, oh, you know, they see a lot of guys when they see me in person, right? They put me on this high ass pedestal, which can be a good thing. But I feel like, put yourself on that. You don't have to put yourself on that pedestal if you're already there on that pedestal, right? Like, if you already have respect for yourself and deem yourself, like, of high importance, you know, and value, right? The high value man, you don't have to put yourself anywhere. You're there. You know that you're God, you're a king. You don't have to put yourself there. And so, I think that's what it is because they just are intimidated. You know, they don't know what to say. I've gotten that. Like, I don't know what to say. It's just like, yo, you fucking up. If you in a woman's presence, if a woman, like, gives you the opportunity, like, you gotta seize that moment. You better know what to say. And if you don't, then that situation ain't for you. Like, no, like, you gotta take a couple of notches down a little bit. Like, relate to somebody who's within your means. Stop trying to, like, it doesn't make any sense, right? You trying to date somebody who's just not on your caliber. Stay within your lane. That way you'll feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? When you're dating women that you can identify with, you can relate to, that's in your lane, like, you don't have to put on the front. You can be yourself. And I've made it clear to this person, like, I prefer you to be yourself. Now, granted, being yourself might end up resulting in me taking a step back and losing interest, but that's going to happen anyway. You only can wear that facade for so long, and I begin to see who you really are, and I get turned off. I feel like it's better that way initially, just put it out there. in the first few encounters than to drag it on, right? And now you sit up here invested all this time and money and all this energy trying to impress me just for me to say, nah, like, I'm not interested. That does happen, though. It happens. And sometimes I do feel bad for guys. But then I'm like, nah, I ain't feeling bad for y'all. No. I should feel bad for myself. Feeling bad for your ass. If it don't work, it don't work. They be wanting to work so bad, too. And it just doesn't. But I feel like I know the right one because I was beginning to say, like, aside from, like, those factors of, like, you know, matching me financially, intellectually, spiritually, of course, the dominance gotta be there. Y'all know, like, I'm into that whole dominant submission dynamic between a man and a woman. And that be sometimes a missing piece. Like, sometimes it be like all of the boxes checked out, right? You know, that's how we get the date. He gets the date. But then he lacking that sense of dominance. Like, 'cause, you know, that's the socialization part. Like, society has socialized men. Of course, with all these movements, Me Too movement, women's rights movement, feminism, men are just afraid to just walk in their strength and their power. I like men who are not afraid to just be a man, y'all. Call the shots, wear the pants. I want a man to wear the pants. And of course, a lot of men in our society, I'm not saying all, because y'all come on here and be like, oh, it ain't me, that's not all men. Of course, it's not all men. But a lot of men are just more reluctant to walk in that. They don't know how, they don't just know how to be, right? It's I think it's art. That's what it is. That whole dynamic between dominant submission, you know, it's a dance. It's not to say he always got to be like, oh, I'm so dominant, I'm calling all the shots, do what I say, and rule the iron fist. Like, nah, that can come off as cocky. It's a balancing act. But he definitely, I think, needs to be comfortable in his manhood and his sense of self and his identity to walk in that unashamedly, of course, and strategically, too. Because I get it. We live in this context, right? So men feel they got to be calculated in interacting with women, or else, you know, she might say, oh, he assaulted me, or he raped me, or he touched me inappropriately. It's just like, I think you got to fill a woman out. That's important. Fill a woman out to see, you know what I'm saying? Get to know her. Get to know her, and it's not about ruling in that way. It's not about leading, I mean, in the physical sense, too, because some men take that as liberty to just like, oh, well, your body is mine. Like, no, we don't even know each other. This is like after we've established trust, we've gotten to know each other, you know. You can clearly see that my guard is down. You know, it's an art. I feel like if I gotta teach a man how to be dominant, he not my type. Because I've had men like that too, and they just be like, oh, well, what does that mean? What does it mean? And you wonder why I'm single. Men just ain't got it. But no, there are men who have it, and I've went public about a man in particular who is my crush. I think he's still my crush. I mean, more recently, I've kind of been like, kill this little shit, trying to freaking bug. More recently, I've kind of fallen back about this one particular person. He is a leader. Some of y'all who follow me for a while, y'all already know who I'm talking about. Yes, and I get asked that a lot. People be coming to my videos and be like, do you still have a crush on so-and-so? I do. I do like him. And he appears in my dreams. And it's not even that I'm thinking about him. Like, it just pops up. And it happened recently, too. Like, it's weird how you dream about somebody. I'm like, okay, either he's thinking about me, or that's just the universe just, like, making him appear in my dream. But I've dreamt about him, like, recently. Nothing sexual. I have talked about that before, where yeah, that shit, it was just like, whoa. But it was just more just interaction. Okay, so let me like actually no, I take that back. So more recently, when I say recently, I mean like in the past week, it wasn't sexual. It was just like a common, like regular interaction with this person that I have a crush on, and he is a leader. I can just mention one phrase term and y'all automatically know who I'm talking about. So I'm not gonna do that. Sharonda says, nice. Some of y'all probably know what I'm talking about. Don't say it. Do not comment if y'all know. Because it just starts a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how the internet can take some shit and they'll run with it. You know what I'm saying? So I like to keep it low key. But you got a crush too. Yes. And I feel like sometimes you can have a crush. Sometimes that, like your dream will come true. So who knows? I feel like it can come true. So yeah, that was the most recent dream. But before that dream, that shit was sexual. But it wasn't penetration involved. It was more so like stimulation. It was weird. I'm just like, you know how you have a good ass dream and you wake up and you're like, God damn. I woke up like right at that point where like it was about to happen. But it was some difficulty, you know what I'm saying, with that insertion of the banana in my peach. So it couldn't happen. And then I woke up because it was some resistance, you know what I'm saying? So, because your girl got that, you got that good, you know what I'm saying? But no, I think he had that giant too, you know what I'm saying? He had that giant banana, like, that's just how it go down. But I remember it was like the setting. I remember the setting. So the setting was like an old fashioned like country town place where like in a town like everybody knew everybody kind of thing. And it just felt like we were high school kids and like sneaking to like it felt like we were sneaking. And I guess that like that edginess, it feels fun when you're younger, but not as an adult because it's just like what the fuck we sneaking for. But that's how it felt in the dream. If it was a good feeling to feel like we're sneaking because it was like people in the town were like looking and they're like, oh, like look at so and so with so and so. Like it was people that had spotted us together and they didn't say nothing, but they were just looking like, you know what I'm talking about. You had a dream about him a few days ago. Hold on. What are you talking about, Sharonda? I had a dream about who? Who? We might be talking about two different people, baby. What was in your dream? What was in your dream? See, if y'all really tuned into the conscious community, y'all already know. I ain't even gotta say the person's name. I don't want you to say his name, but like he has a thing about he want multiple wives. And so I'm open to that. But I think deep down inside, because of the way we've been socialized, like unless you grew up in like a polygamous household, but even I think kids who grew up in a polygamous household who have been exposed to that, they still grapple with accepting, you know what I'm saying, that even as an adult, if they were like invited into that kind of dynamic of a relationship. So yeah, that's something I probably would struggle with. But it's not that I couldn't coexist with a sister wife, because I believe I could, because I get the dynamic. I understand like the purpose of it, right? When you understand why, it's easier to go with it. Some people just don't understand the purpose and what it serves, so it's more difficult for them to go with that dynamic, right, of a relationship. And it's just like, it don't make sense. It has to make sense to them, but it makes a lot of sense to me. Girl, Sharon, I think you're messing with me. Yes, he is. And we don't get those kind of men that often. That's the thing. Like, I know a lot of men claim they're dominant, but it's just, nah. Dominance is like an energy, yo. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. when a man come with the idea of, oh, 50-50 and that whole 50-50 shit, that shit be throwing me off. I'm just like, nah, bro. And I heard this guy, my crush that I'm talking about, like I heard him actually articulate in the video. This was like years ago, like his idea for a woman and like what he brings to the table and the kind of man he is. And he did talk about how he is the kind of man where he want to take care of women. You know, where she shouldn't have to work. Not that she can't work and bring in income, because women, we got our own bag. But it's just like, there's no expectation, right? There's not a need for that. That's the difference. You know, when you come across these, like men, like they want to be men, but it's just like, if you need her to pay 50% towards the bill, that means that you can't stand on your own 2 feet. That makes a huge difference. And then let alone be able to provide for a family. You see where I'm coming from? That's where we run into issues. That's why, yes, I talked about the financial piece of the high value partner, because it makes a difference. Men just don't get it. And you say 100% on both parts. 100% in terms of the level of commitment to that relationship, yes. But when it comes to the financial part, a lot of beta males don't get it. They have not been exposed to it. And this is good. I'm about to set this banana down because now I'm about to get into it. That's why I like when y'all engage with me, because it tickles me in a certain kind of way. It tickles my intellect. So when men, the beta men, right? There's this thing where you got beta men born to single mothers. And I've heard this. When a man is born to a single mother, right, he's seen this woman struggle. I'm talking about struggle at its finest, in its finest sense, right? And of course, you can have much admiration to that. But that becomes a template for how he sees women, how he views women, how he understands women based on his mother. And they love their mothers too, right? And that's what they tend to attract. Women who are like their mothers, who was single, independent. Oh, she didn't have a problem. She took care of me and my siblings. She worked 2 and 3 jobs. She did it. Okay, she did it, but that's not how it's supposed to be, bruh. But that's the problem. Like, I think people have this misconception just because they grew up a certain kind of way to think that that's the norm. Like, that's how things are supposed to be. Not even realize, like, you know, that's not how life is supposed to be. We live that way for so long as black people in the struggle. We think that's how life's supposed to be. A woman should be able to rest in her femininity. She should not have to struggle to that extent of working 2 and 3 jobs to provide for a family without the man present. It's like, where is he? So these men born to single mothers, yes, they have this inherent attraction to other black women when they become adult men. They do expect black women, such as myself, and surrounded, and every black woman who's watching, to contribute in that way. Or if not, they look at us like, oh, you just a gold digger. It's just like they don't have that concept of their obligation to the family, right? Their responsibility to the family. They don't know what that responsibility, what? They don't know what that means. So that, to me, is a major factor into this whole idea of dominance. When men come to me and I'm dating, you know, and exploring my options, right, in the dating scene, and they ask like, oh, what do you look for in a man? I'm not even about to say that. I feel like that should be a given. A real man. And I know y'all get offended like, oh, a real man. No, this is true. A man, a dominant man, come on. He don't even want his woman working. Because he understands like that factors into that dynamic, right, of dominance and submission. Like, how can you expect a woman who is making 5 times your salary submit to you? That whole dynamic is already fucked up from the beginning. Like, before we even open our mouth. Like, it's an energy force, right? When I go on a date with a man, I can tell his pocket. Like, I can tell, his pockets don't even measure up. So his confidence don't measure up, right? Now, he may try to come with this facade, You know, like he's overcompensating. I can tell he's nervous. Like, yo, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fake energy. You can tell. You don't have to do that when a man, when your bank account is matching mine or greater, you don't have to like do all this extra shit. You're doing too much. All you gotta do is be. Be. You ain't gotta perform. No need to perform because you know deep down inside what you're worth. You know you're high value. In every positive sense of the word, right? You don't have to do all of this. Men who feel inadequate, those are the men that be going all out their way. And I think sometimes the lines can get blurred between what does it mean for a man to go out all his way, being motivated by inadequacy or a sense of not measuring up, versus a man doing that because that's how he just is, you know, and that's how he wants to shower his woman with gifts. I know the difference. There is a difference. And I've dated men. Like, I'm talking about go all out that way. I talked to y'all about this before, about the man I dated. This is when I was in LA. And he flew me out to New York over the holidays, and like I say, it's the difference between a man doing nice things, showering a woman, like being impressive, right? Impressing her, taking her to the fine restaurant, you know, because that's just in his nature and how he feels about her, versus a man doing that when he know, like he is overcompensating, right? That's what it is. It's overcompensation because there's a lack, and the lack in that case was a little ass dick. I have to be blunt with y'all. I have to be blunt with y'all. And it was poor performance in the bedroom. You know, and he knew that. You know what I'm saying? Because he had back pain. He had suffered an accidental injury that resulted in, you know, some serious back pain that he has to deal with most likely for the rest of his life. That affects, of course, impotency, right? Like, his ability to, you know, deliver in the bedroom. So you gotta overcompensate. You know, you're trying to win a woman with all these expensive, lavish gifts. And I accepted it, you know, but I feel like you don't need to do all of that. You gotta do that. My love language is time. Now I give y'all a little snippet, you know what I'm saying, a little secret into me, but that's a little secret. That's you know, I think men who really know me and spend time, they'll see that that's my love language. It's quality time. It is not buying me lavish gifts. The gifts, because I can buy that for myself. So I'm not as impressed, honestly. I don't care how much the gift costs, right? This man spent a hell of a lot of money on that dinner, right? Like close to $1,000, between $500 and $1,000, and it was nice. I was really impressed. But I'm just like, whatever. I don't want my wife paying half the bills, but I get a bunch of pushback for it. Yeah, because I think a woman wants to feel a sense of power. But yeah, like, it's a lot to be said about that. You know, like that feeling of inadequacy, just feeling like you don't measure up. And when I realized, like, yeah, I know I'm sometimes too much for a man. And not too much in a bad way. It's just like, yo, we're unequal. Like, because you know what happens? Those men who feel inadequate, those be the men that be cheating. People cheat, I know, for different reasons, but those be sometimes that be the driving force. You gotta build up that ego. How else can you build it up? Men will sometimes say, oh, I'm trying to see if I still got it. Just to see if I still, why you need to see if you still got it? It's like you need somebody to stroke that ego, right? Because you know your ass don't measure up. So that's why I think it is important. That's why I had to go in here and make this video, because I've seen men, of course, make videos on being a high value man and women not measuring up. It can go both ways. It can go both ways. It's really a mindset. That energy don't lie. When you put two souls in a room together, That energy don't lie, yo. I like a manly man who comes with confidence. He ain't gotta be the richest because we can work. That's something that can change, right? Like how much money you have in your bank, that's something that can change. But confidence, self-esteem, like a lot of that stuff, either you got it or you don't. Some people just don't got it. Like I feel men, honestly, I feel like dominance is a trait. That's something you just born with. I don't think a woman can teach you dominance. I don't think a man can teach another man dominance. I just think either you have that gene in you. It's just like it's an archetypal energy, you know what I'm saying, that you're born with. Either you have it or you don't. It's just like a personality trait, you know, like the guy that me and Sharonda was talking about. That's an inbred personality trait in him, this guy, you know what I'm saying? Can't learn dominance. There are others, like they feel like it can be fine-tuned, but if you ain't got it from the get-go, nah. There are so many women that don't believe in the traditional value of marriage. They feel it's slavery. Yeah, they're like, oh, I don't want to be in the kitchen. But I think it serves its purpose. Like I was talking about this with the guy that, you know, I've been dating recently. You know, the whole importance of gender roles. You know, I don't feel like I'm caged. I don't feel like it takes away from my value as a woman or what I bring to the table if I'm relegated to a certain role in a household. Because I know who I am. I know very much what I'm capable of, and I've already achieved much of that apart from a man. So I think a lot of these women, they're still trying to discover themselves. They're still trying to build their careers and really flourish as a woman apart from a man. They feel like that role of cooking and cleaning and having babies is limited. It's like, okay, how can I be me? Like, how can I explore other things that validate my greatness? But I've already been there, done that, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like, and I did that, you know, by myself, single. So I'm at the point, yeah, I don't mind being the housewife, you know what I'm saying, or being a sister wife, because my career is already there. You know what I'm saying? I've already been to school. I've already got my education. I've already been there, done that. And it's just a matter of compatibility and meeting that person who is right for me. Cheating became second nature to me. I found out I was polyamorous. Yeah, once you find out that you're naturally polyamorous or polygamous, and there's a difference between polyamory and polygamy. Polyamory is just you having multiple sexual partners. Nothing wrong with it, but you got to understand there's a difference. And sometimes I think when I say that I'm open to polygamy, men somehow think like, oh, I'm just free game to be out here fucking. Nah, bruh. It's in the context of marriage. Exactly. Women put too much energy in the wrong man. Absolutely. I feel like I've done that collectively. Not necessarily an individual man, but like collectively in dating, you know, exploring my options. But I wouldn't say it's wasted energy. I feel like I've learned a lot of things. I've gained some knowledge, you know, of myself through those interactions. So it may seem like on the surface that it was a waste of time, and I'm giving my energy to different men and exploring these options. I learned a lot, and sometimes I come to you guys and talk about it in my videos, and so it's a win-win situation. But I get where you're coming from. Like, there's nothing like finding the right partner, and I think that's why I'm very careful about my energy and very protective of that. And I will cut it off. Like if I feel like, once I get to the point where I'm realizing like I was saying how I determine or I make a discernment between if a guy is for me, and I'm like, nope. It's like it doesn't take long because I know what I'm looking for. And if they ain't got it, they just ain't got it, and they never will have it, right? So I'm like, nope. But then I may come across one and be like, maybe, right? And so I'm curious, and That's when we start to engage, right? He gets some of my time, my energy, you know, and be feeling happy about it. Sometimes too happy. I'm like, slow down, bruh. It ain't what you think. It ain't what you think. And I do challenge guys, of course. Why wouldn't I? And the guy that I'm seeing now, he's just like, oh, I like you because you challenge me. Like, you better believe it. First of all, you're dating a psychologist, right? Like what you expect, right? I'm a psychologist in training. It's just like, this is what we do. You know what I'm saying? Behavior is what we do, right? This is our specialty. And of course, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to ask some complicated questions. And you might feel uncomfortable, you might get triggered, but I know how to work around that too, like, at the same time. So that's like the interesting part in like dating a person like me. It's just like, all right, we're gonna go through some shit, or at least you're gonna feel like it's tough. Like, damn, it's not easy, right? It's not easy, like, interacting with me, especially when it's just me and you in the room. It's just me and you right here. It's just us, right? Can't hide behind nothing. I can see right. Like, you're gonna feel like, you feel that shit, right? You feel a transformation happening on a cellular level in your own body. You feel that shit because I'm different, you know. But being able to sit with that emotion, those uncomfortable feelings, you know, like, and I can be very nurturing too at the same time. So that's what guys be falling in the trap. They start falling in love and they start getting scared. Like, oh shit, like, this is the real deal. This, oh shoot. This is the real deal. So I can go on and on and on about this forever and a day. I'm always open to hearing what y'all think, though, because there's many different ways to look at something, right? This is some really good red wine. It's from South Africa, called Jam Jar. You know how you find, like, your favorite thing, and you're like, oh, that's it. That's it. Just like the partner, like, that's it. So I'll know. I will definitely know, and it has to be a mutual feeling. That's the thing. It has to be mutual. Nothing wrong with being a high-value man or a high-value woman. If you are truly high value, you know. Not trying to put on a facade like some people. But I'm curious. I mean, I think it's obvious to see, like, why there are so many high-value women, black women especially, single. Because you just look at the dating pool, right? Like, what do they have to choose from? We know a significant portion of black men are incarcerated. Or just kind of, like, falling behind, you know. They trying to play catch-up. Trying to get their shit together. So it makes sense why a significant number of high-value black women are single. But why, Mr. High-Value black men, are you single? With so many options to choose from. It makes you wonder. See, it's different. It's not the same. You can't compare the two. Single high-value woman, single high-value black man. It's not the same. Why y'all single? What's going on over there? Make you wonder. So you get so high value that you ain't even looking at a woman no more. You start looking at a man. And I'm telling you, I got one guy in my mind, like, I'm thinking about, I ain't gonna say no names, but I'm thinking about this person. He's a vlogger, and he's supposed to be like this business, financial person, but he's single. He do give the flair that he could be homosexual. Like, he really like men. It's just the way he talk about women. He's just like, yeah, you. When you see men that just be downing women and berating women, it make you wonder, like, why not put someone to the test to see? How do all of your words begin with a capital letter? Like, is that, like, automated in your phone, or do you actually, like, make it uppercase? It seems like a lot of work. Why not put someone to the test to see how they work under pressure? Oh yeah, I do that. Like the guy I'm involved with now, motherfucker be sweating bullets. I mean, he's nervous, but I feel like I do it effortlessly. You know, it's just something that happens naturally. Well, yeah. And he said to me several times, I've heard this from other people too, that like I'm hard to read. They just be like looking at me. And I think y'all sometimes do that too, just like, because some people, I'm pretty sure you watch your videos and it's like you make comments and you can talk about them and you can, you know, gossip about them, start rumors. But for a person, it's just like, I don't really give y'all that leverage. Like, what can you talk about with me? On my hair? It's like, it's going to be surface level stuff you're going to talk about. You really can't, you know, because I think I am somewhat hard to read. Are they high value or is it normal value? What is high value? Yeah, I already kind of prefaced this video with that in terms of to define what high value means. I ain't say, oh snap. Oh, I know a man when he got, listen, I have very strong gaydar for men and women. I know when a person got some sugar in their tank. It's not hard to tell. Sexuality and gender identity. When you just have that ability, you just see right through people. It's just like, you're looking at their soul, yo. You see right through them. It's just like, come on now. Come on. Like that fake ass Black Panther dude I was telling y'all about. He definitely had those vibes of being gay. But be you. That's what I want people to be. Be you. You don't have to front. Trying to overcompensate, acting hard, walking tough. Like, even the guy, I be messing with people, but I gotta call you out. Trying to walk. Like, why you walking like that, bro? You doing too much. What's up with the walk? You know what I'm saying? Oh, back in the day, just be like walking like, I can't even fake that shit. Done that since high school. The teachers gave and accepted it. Trying to do the walk. Like, I'm just like, yo, that's a fake ass walk. Like, what? I feel like you don't know who you are. When you know who you are, you ain't got to fake, you ain't got to flaunt. You just be you. And it doesn't matter if a person likes you. You go on a date. That's the whole point of dating. To see. You know what I'm saying? If you like a person. It's a two-way street. Just like an interview for a job. It's a two-way street. It ain't about, oh, do the job like you or do you qualify? It's about, do they qualify for you? Is this the right fit for you? It goes both ways. Know who you are. Know what you want. Know what you bring to the table. Know your worth. You know? But they don't. Or they haven't discovered it. Because value is really something that's intrinsic. You can have all the money in the world and still not have any value. On that note, I'm going to end this video. I welcome your comments, your feedback, your questions, your suggestions, and I will catch y'all in the next video. This has been fun. Love you guys. Bye.